Hello, everyone, and welcome to GHT Time, where we discuss all things General Hospital. If you haven't already, please hit the bell notification so you'll be alerted to when we upload a new video. And I want to say a special thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. And if you haven't, please hit the like and subscribe button because it really helps out the channel, guys. So let's get started. If you haven't already, get your tea, get your snacks, put your feet up, and let's see what our characters are up to. General Hospital Daily Recap, Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. So, guys, there was a bunch of people in this episode. We had some Carly, we had some Trina, the paternity results in, we had some Portia. So, let's see what our characters are up to. Carly and Lucas had the conversation where she was apologizing to Lucas for, not being there for him and Marco's relationship. So Lucas was kind of getting on my nerve because he was just like, oh, your apology is not enough. I need for you to accept Marco and all this other nonsense. And, I don't know what he wanted Carly to do, like grovel on the floor. But eventually he was like, well, you have to accept Marco. And Carly was like, okay, I accept Marco. And Marco and Sidwell came in, and then Pascal came in there with them, right? All nosy. So Lucas was just like, can you leave to Pascal? So Pascal leaves, but he kept the door ajar so he can listen. So Carly apologized to Marco, and she says, I'm glad you're here for my brother. I could see y'all two love each other so much, and blah, blah, blah. Carly's just laying on thick because she's trying to get her little, so she could get in there to snoop around later. But she did apologize to him. She thought she was going to be able to go snoop around then because they invited her to like happy hour or whatever, wine hour at Windermere. So Lucas said no, he has to leave. He had to go to work. So he asked Carly to leave with him so that they can talk on the launch back. So they leave, and Marco and Sidwell start talking. And Sidwell was, do you believe Carly's apology? Marco said, yeah, he believes her apology. He said from what Lucas told him, it seems like if she was too apologetic, he wouldn't have believed it. But he was like, the way she did it, he could see that she was still a little hesitant. He believed that she was genuine. But then here we go, right? This is my plight with Lucas living in this house. These two, Marco and Sidwell, are in that little living room foyer area that is right next to the front door, right? So they just are chit-chatting. And Marco is like, what this means though, Carly will be coming over more and she's gonna be seeing all this stuff, and this is not gonna be good for them because she's gonna see Britt coming there and gonna have questions, and then some other stuff, they always got some shady stuff going on. Lucas comes back because Lucas forgot his phone. So he was getting ready to open the door and he overhears Sidwell and Marco talking. And he heard the whole thing, how they withholding Britt's medication, how Carly's going to be snooping around, and they don't really want her snooping around because she might get into finding out what they're up to, so it's not good for them. All of their little shenanigan stuff, right? So he now Lucas hears that Marco and his dad are up to horrible things. He's all taken aback, right? So he comes out, he's just like all shooken up from what he heard. Pascal sees Lucas listening, like he came back. So hopefully, I'm hoping, because Lucas had just closed the door, Pascal is in the doorway looking at Lucas. I don't know if he saw that Lucas overheard everything or if he just sees Lucas standing there. I'm hoping he just saw Lucas standing there. But this is what I'm saying. I don't know why Marco wanted Lucas living at that house. There is no privacy there. Like, he should have had him in an apartment somewhere. He could have went home, slept at the house too real quick, and went right back to Windermere. But no, he wanted to have him in there. Now, if Pascal saw him listening to that whole conversation, that's it for Lucas. He's gone. Or even going to wind up in that basement where Anna was at, and they're going to lock him away and say he fell off the cliff or something like that. But that's exactly what I was saying. I said it before. I know we all been thinking about it. Why would you have this man living in your house and y'all up to shenanigan stuff, and now he done overheard all of the nonsense, right? So here we go. We're going to see what happened to Lucas. Carly gets back to Valentin and she tells him that she apologized and she's been invited back to Windermere. So Valentin was like, he can't complain about that because he was asking her first, were you able to get down to the catacombs? And she said no, but she did get an invitation. And he was like, well, that's good. At least you have an open door to get in, right? So they're going to probably use this later if Lucas don't wind up missing somewhere down a cliff. But we'll see what happens with this. Curtis came over, he was talking to Jordan, and they were kind of catching up about, reminiscing, I should say, about the storm. So he was just like, I brought over some treats, and he turned on the fireplace to get cozy with Jordan. And they were catching up on some things. And, it's weird because Jordan mentioned something about she still hasn't found anything on Sidwell. Now, this is the strange part. Jordan started this investigation on Sidwell since last year, I think. And already Jason, who else? There's some other people got more information than Jordan did, and Jordan works there, is always in Windermere. Did she even try to search around and see what's going on in this place? No, she has zero information. So that's what she was telling Curtis. She's no closer to breaking this investigation, but it doesn't really seem like she's really investigating so well. She just seemed like she got comfortable in that job that she's in. So I don't know what kind of investigation she's doing. It doesn't seem like she's doing a good job. So Curtis went on down the line and then he started talking about how he kind of pressured Portia into having a paternity test. Well, like he told Portia that if she didn't have a paternity test, he was going to get a court order. So Jordan kind of raised her eyebrow on that. And she was like, she's no fan of Portia, but, so she kind of was letting Curtis know that she wasn't really supportive of what he did, but she didn't really say that out loud, but you could tell by her actions that she wasn't. But Curtis did say he regretted doing that and that he wished he could go back and change that because that's not how he wants this pregnancy to go if the child is his. Portia asked Britt if she had time because she was ready to take the paternity test. And Britt was like, sure, she has time now. So Portia texts Isaiah and said, listen, she's ready to do this paternity test. Can he give a sample so that we can see if the baby is his or if it's Curtis's? So Portia let Isaiah know she's going to take the test today. And he said, he's for it as long as she doesn't feel pressured, that Curtis didn't pressure her into it. And she said, no, she just thinks that it's time for it. She did call Curtis and said, listen, she's having a paternity test. He thanked her for having it anyway. And then after that, I guess they just had them wait just to see what the results were going to be. So Portia's waiting for the results to come in. As she's waiting, Isaiah's there with her, and Trina comes. Well, I should say Trina came first and told Portia that she was going to be there for her and definitely wanted to be there for the baby, no matter who the dad is. So Isaiah came and said, he's there for Portia. And then, Portia asked, can he stay? And then she said to Trina, is it okay? And Trina was like, sure. Then later Curtis comes and he's there and I'm just like, whatever. But anyway, everybody's there waiting for the results of the test. Britt comes in later, gives Portia the envelope, says here's the result. And then Portia is like opening the envelope. So I guess we'll find out who the baby's daddy is tomorrow. But it's so funny. I got a Maury Povich flashback where he gave her the envelope. I'm like, what if no one's the father? No, okay. Anyway, I think they're gonna make Curtis the father because it's just going to be more drama. You saw Jordan was having a flashback about her and Portia's conversation about how Portia was like, well, you're not going to be in my baby's life. It's just going to cause a lot of conflict. So I think that's probably the route they're going to go. Charlotte came over to talk to her dad, and then she was telling Valentin what she found out about Nina working with Brennan. And Valentin was kind of like, well, I was going to reach out to Nina anyway, so it's okay. But she went on, I don't know, something she said made Valentin realize. He said, did you tell Danny that I'm here? So Charlotte was like, yes, she did, but she trusts Danny and stuff. And Valentin made a valid point. He's like, you're putting people's lives in danger by doing this. But Charlotte pushback was that, his father does dangerous stuff all the time, and Danny knows how to keep his mouth shut. But they're dealing with very dangerous people here. So Charlotte has just been spewing out, Valentin is here to a few people. And I'm kind of like, all right, we kind of need to nod. But anyway, what can Valentin do? He's just kind of telling Charlotte, be careful, and hopefully Charlotte will listen to her dad. Jason and Danny continued their conversation, and Danny was just telling his father that he did confide in his father and told him that he did kiss Charlotte. And Jason did say, well, what does she think about that? And he said he didn't even think what Charlotte thought about that. No one is having a problem with this relationship. It is whatever. I said, so whatever. This is where they're going with this. Jason told his son that he should check in with Charlotte and make sure she's okay and that she was okay with what happened. So that's kind of where they left that conversation. I still say that they need to get out of this storyline. This is silly that they got these two together, but this is where the writers want to go with it. I don't know why, but that's where they're going with it. Josh and Trina was catching up. When Trina came in, she saw Josh with that old cigarette that from, I guess that was like Faison's favorite cigarette back in the day. And she was asking Josh, did she pick up some kind of habit? And Josh was like laughing her off. She's like, no, this is from my study buddy. He came over and left it here by accident. And then they kind of got off the topic of that. Trina was telling her that she's trying to make up with her mother a little bit for the sake of the baby, because she's going to be there for the baby, blah, blah, blah. So these two, I don't know what kind of friendship these two got. I mean, she don't confide in Trina about anything. Trina has a whole nother life going on. Like, these two, I don't know. They say they're best friends, but are they really? Who knows? It doesn't seem like it, especially with Josh. Josh is running around living a whole secret life, and Trina knows nothing about anything that she does. So it's a weird friendship dynamic. Lucy. Lucy lives on the planet far, far away. I don't know where Lucy lives at. She don't live on the planet Earth with the rest of us. She lives someplace else in her mind. Listen, Lucy's talking to Sonny. This conversation to me made me chuckle because she's telling Sonny she had this long, meaningful relationship with Sidwell, and Sonny kind of was like, he said, "Listen, Lucy, no disrespect, but do he feel the same way?" I'm sorry. I was like, right? Anyway. Lucy, I don't know. She thought they had some other relationship, whatever. So anyway, she's calling Ava all of this and that, saying Ava's trying to go after him, and that now because of how Ava was going after him and Sidwell just rejected her, she wants to get Sidwell, right? She wants to take down his business and stuff like. Lucy gonna get herself hurt. She better leave that man alone. She's now talking about deception and how he's smuggling stuff in through deception products and telling Sonny all of this kind of stuff. Now she's telling Sonny, you know what? They should work together to take Sidwell down. So Sonny's kind of like, I'm not getting involved in that. But she did say that she's going to go back to Sidwell to get with him so that she can infiltrate what he's doing, like kind of what he's smuggling into using deception product into those peers. So she's going to pretend like she's with him and then find out his business stuff. Lucy, that is not the man. He'll try to do something to her and be smiling at the same time. So I think she needs to leave that alone. But she says she's going in there and she's not going to let Ava get the best of her. She's going to go do what she got to do to take Sidwell down. I think she's going to get herself hurt. But that was the end of that. I don't know. Keep your fingers crossed for Lucy that she make it through, because I don't think she is. Josh was speaking to Jason about what she found out, what she was doing on the night of the storm, how she cut the power, how she went over to Windermere and she found Cullen over there, right? She was telling Jason that she found that book with cigarettes, stuff like that, and then, you know, it was Cullen stuff. And now Jason is kind of clicking together and he's seeing that what, you know, Cullen is up to. But he did let Josh know Cullen and Sidwell are working together. So Josh was shocked about that. So Jason asked her, did you let Brennan know what you found out? And she said no. He was like, good, don't tell him nothing. Now see, Jason is right. I can understand why he's suspicious of Brennan, because he doesn't know that Brennan is suspicious of Cullens too. But somehow, if they can make a link together and see that they are working on the same side as far as Cullen goes, then they can start sharing information and find out how to take that dude down. But right now, everybody's on the fence because nobody trusts the other, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But now Josh is in, and maybe Josh will be the connection to letting Brennan know that Jason found out some other information. Maybe down the line. We'll see what happens. But that was it for this episode, guys. So guys, that was the end of the episode. If you haven't already, hit the bell notification, hit the like and subscribe because it really helps the channel. And thank you for joining us at GHT Time, and I will see you again shortly. Bye.